Hey guys, it's Zekin, back with another one for you guys today. And in this episode, I'm going to be working on the dark ride section for the Arabian coaster, which is going to be in the Arabian section of my Adventureland in my Disney-inspired park. And so, this dark ride is mainly inspired by the Fata Morgana over at Efteling. I haven't personally been to Efteling, but from reference photos from Google and from feedback and reviews from other people, I can see that it's a very good dark ride experience. So right now I was leveling the ground to the level of the track, and you can see what I did something very interesting here. I used the water coaster track merged with the Eurofighter track, and it came out really well, because this story is like wrapped around like you're going down the river in search of your camel, and so I really wanted to tie in that story in with this dark ride so I can have that little storytelling feel for this. So that really worked out pretty well. So right now I painted the ground, and as you can see, this is not your regular like coaster building. I started off with a dark ride because I didn't really want, like, if you start off with the track first and then you finish the track and then you move on to the dark ride after you're done with whole track, you're gonna run into some bumps on the way, and I didn't really want to run into such bumps. And when you usually go back to the track and then you build a dark ride, it's like some spaces are a little too tighter than the others, so I wanted to have that freedom and liberty when I was building this dark ride section. So I just started off with the dark ride, so this is going to be progressive build with this dark ride. Can now then move on to the coaster. So right now as you can see, I'm using those ropes to replicate like the wooden structural pieces that we regularly see in Arabian builds, like these nice roof structures that I've seen a lot from reference photos, and the ropes really work good as a nice distant force perspective kind of wood element. And as you can see, I deleted those two Arabian buildings I decided because I didn't really think it looked. It kind of didn't really help buy and sell the. It didn't really help sell the forced perspective look of the city, and so I kind of ditched those because they look kind of weird. So as you can see from when you're entering into when you actually get on the main dark ride and you go to the first scene, you will see the city, and you're leaving the city in search of your camel and stuff. So the whole story is inspired by Aladdin and some other Arabian folk tales. I kind of just merged everything together, and I think the story really came out very well. So the whole story revolves about you are in search. You're gonna meet a tour guide which is in search for his lost camel, and so on the way he encounters this cave, in which is like the Cave of Wonders, in which you've seen Aladdin. Those of you who know Aladdin very well, and I'm talking about those of you because if you're watching this video, how would you know Aladdin? And so those of you who've seen Aladdin, you will know there is a Cave of Wonders. So I really like that element in the whole Aladdin story. I really want to replicate it into this ride. And so he would find his camel in the Cave of Wonders, and then you know how the whole story goes. You touch something you're not meant to, and then everything goes into chaos mode, and then you get launched out of the cave into the coaster. So that's what I'm trying to go for in this episode for you guys today. But in this episode, I wouldn't really be working on the main Cave of Wonders, just the entrance section with the big old tiger archway. And then maybe next episode or episode after that, I'll work on the main Cave of Wonders and the launch area bay section. talking about next episode, I'm not really gonna be posting much frequently as I will do right now, because I'm having some final exams in like a couple of months, and so I would want to prepare very much for that, and I wouldn't want this to distract me from my preparation. And so if I don't really post in like maybe 5 or 6 weeks, you should know why I haven't posted. I hope you guys understand the well, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this whole Planet Coaster thing is just like a nice hobby for me, and I really like just kind of relax and build in this game. So I don't really want it to clash with my actual real life stuff. So right now, as you can see, I put down those two camels and the dude leaning against the camels. I really thought that was a really nice detail for that section, as on one side you'll see the people, and then on the other side you see like you're leaving the city, the forest perspective city, and it's a nice contrast between the two, like between the two scenes. As you look to one side, you see the actual scam. As you look to the other side, you see the main forest perspective city as you're leaving the city. So right now, as you can see, I'm starting work on the Cave of Wonders entrance archway. Well, not arch, like the entranceway with the big tiger and everything. And so I really found these beak pieces from the adventure pack. The beak pieces really work out as nice teeth. They have really nice sharp teeth to it, so I really like how that came out. And so I used those hands a lot in this build because they really worked out for like the whole texture and the curvedness and everything about that. Really made it really come out really well. I've said really a lot in this video, but I can't really control myself. So yeah, he's gonna go into the cave of, in the story, he's gonna go into the Cave of Wonders and search for his camel, and then when he actually finds his camel, something goes wrong, and then they get launched, like I said previously. So right now you can see I use those hands in the for the mouthpiece and the bottom jaw and top jaw for the mouthpiece of the cave, and I really think it has this nice curve to it, and it was really good. I think there was a TMTK Cave of Wonders entrance over at the workshop, but I thought that the scale was a bit off and it was a little bit too big for this ride purpose, and also the textures were not what I really would expect. Like I want like a stony kind of texture, but that texture is kind of like a not what I intended for in this build. So you can see I'm using the hands, those curved hand statue pieces for like the side mains. For the main, I think it's a tiger, but I'm not sure. I think it's a tiger that is at the entrance of the Cave of Wonders. But for the 2019 remake of the Aladdin, I think they changed it to a lion. But it's not up to me, it's up to them. So yeah, you can see I'm using the body pieces to fill up that space in the side, and then I had to replicate it to the other side. That's where I kind of had a little bit of problem, as you can see. When you will see it later. So right now, those hand pieces really come in handy for multiple uses in this build, and so you can see they really work out as nice eyebrow and eye pieces for the tiger, and it really came out nicely. Also, the beak pieces also work out great as like this nice ear pieces for the ride. So you can see now I've started replicating it to the other side of it, so that I'll have to mirror it. And one thing I really need, and I think this might not be possible, only if Planet Coaster would have a tool that allows us to mirror objects to the other side, like to mirror them. That would be really helpful. But it's just my thought, because when I'm making CMTK items, it's pretty easy when you're modeling and you just model one side and mirror it to the other side. But whereas when you're doing something piece by piece, if you make one side and you're satisfied with it, when it comes to mirroring it to the other side, it's kind of a hassle, because you don't really you're not using the snap angle pieces, and so getting those perfect mirrored angles to the other side is really hard when you're trying to make creations in Planet Coaster as well. So as you can see, I mirrored the ear to the other side, and you know that some objects are easily mirror, like you can easily mirror them, and the alignment and everything is gonna stay the same. Like when you make arc shaped pieces and stuff like that, you can easily mirror them to the other side without having the hassle of like trying to make it look equal and symmetrical. But whereas when you're working with stuff like this, when you're trying to build to the other side, it's kind of a hassle. So there's some like little asymmetrical parts of this in which it's not, the symmetry is a bit off, and I think you'll just look over that because they're not really that obvious. And so yeah, but right now I'm trying to finish off the head piece, and then with those statue body pieces. And so right now, as you can see, I use the rope, like the rope piece for like the ring around the ear. Like, I don't know, it's a ring, like the ring around the ear. And then as you can see, this actually worked by accident, because I was actually going for something different at this point. But when I actually put down those beak textures, they really work nice as like the nose parts of the mouth, the roof of the mouth. And I also used I forgot, like more adventure the adventure pack. Like I said, and I've said in many previous videos, is my favorite pack because it has so many versatile pieces in which you can use and reuse over again in different building modes without actually noticing that it's different. So yeah, so right now, as you can see, I'm finishing off with that area and then extending it so that the coaster actually moves into the cave. And I made sure that no part of the coaster is clipping through any of the cave pieces, so that I really wanted to go for this realistic approach to the dark ride. And so as you can see, I deleted those over like the bottom pieces of the teeth, so that it's not clashing or clipping through, so that it's like a realistic kind of high budget dark ride. So as you can see, I wanted to go for, I put those grid metal pieces so that I can put the mist effect under, so it looks kind of realistic and not just like the mist is coming from nowhere. And I always put the grid textures anytime I want to put like a special effect or something, an ambient special effect or something like that, anytime I want to put it in the build. So as you can see, I trying to put the dry ice pieces at the roof of the mouth, but it didn't really work out nicely because it was kind of odd and unrealistic, and so I ditched that. So right now, as you can see, I used those tiny light box pieces for like the shading on the eyes, because the eyes, like that sign, like the emissive textures in Planet Coaster, they don't really emit any light, they just glow. And so you have to put like lights in them for it to look like it's emitting kind of lights. So I use a lot of reference photos to replicate the lighting that inside the Cave of Wonders when you're like entering into the big mouth, and then it's like the mid-tone warm, it's like a warm color piece. So as you can see, I started off with using the backdrop, which was made by Leaf Scott on the TMTK TMTK backdrop, but I don't really think it worked out at the end because the texture is not like emissive, in which you can warp them, and like I don't know if you understand, in which you can like put them into certain ways without noticing the creases and the corners, sharp corners, in which you wouldn't notice when you're using the star panel from the main game pieces. So I think I later on used the star panel in this build. And so right now, as you can see, I'm putting the rocks down, and this rock work was very much inspired by the 2019 remake, as the Cave of Wonders is seen at the edge of like a mountain slope as to the original, which is just standing alone. So I think the 2019 remake it's a little more realistic, in which it's standing at the edge of a mountain, in which it's perfectly contrasting the rock textures and pieces, and I really liked how that turned out. So right now, as you can see, at first I actually thought of putting the camel over there, and then he finds the camel and then enters the cave, but I thought, nah, that wouldn't really look that realistic, because why would he enter the cave after he's found the camel? And so I later on deleted the camel, so that I will move the camel over on into the cave for him like to have found his camel inside the cave, and then something went wrong, and you know the story. And so right now, as you can see, I'm trying to put down some clutter and some scenery to make the place look more realistic. I wanted to put those crows at the top to look like kind of vultures on top of the mountain, but that didn't really work out because it kind of breaks the forced perspective as you're coming down into the mouth, and then if you look up, you're like, oh, those are really large crows. But so I kind of deleted them and ditched them at the end for just like a plants and plain stuff to leave to your imagination. So right now, as you can see, I'm putting some clutters and some textures, and then I'm going in the ride and seeing the experience, and it really came out well. As we're getting to the end of this video, I would like to say a big thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I post any new videos, and smash that like button if you like what you're seeing. And if you don't like it, well, you can dislike it. So yeah, so see you next time, guys. Until next time, bye for now.